walk me through the day you found out and what that was kind of like?
Yeah, that was a really just a real day. I just remember it was the first day of my internship. And so I was just sitting in my office when I got a call from South Shore Skin Center. And I had gone a few weeks before to get a biopsy on a sunspot that I had. Didn't think of it since I had gone. I really didn't think that it was going to be anything. And so they had called me, and I picked up thinking that they were going to tell me, it was nothing abnormal, totally fine. And then I picked up, and she was just kind of like, "Yeah, we got your test results back." And she just kind of right away told me, it's melanoma. And I just remember at that point, I didn't really know that much about skin cancer, but I knew that that word, and I knew that that was like the one thing that I wasn't going to want to hear. And so I just kind of remember she was talking, but I was like, after she told that to me, I was just like not even like listening. Like I was just like I just like in shock. And so I hung up the phone with her. I'm like sitting in my office, and I'm like, what do I do now? Um, I started, going back to answering the tip line, and then I was like, all right, I need to like, go call my mom. And so, yeah, I flipped out of my office. I called my mom, and that was, I think, the first moment that I felt scared was when I heard her over the phone, and she was scared. Um, and then at that point, I still didn't really know the stage, so it was all just really kind of unknown and kind of terrifying. But yeah.
What is it like? Obviously, there's no great place to hear that you have cancer, but being in a newsroom, which is a particularly intense place, how do you juggle all that, especially in those like initial moments where you're told, "Hey, you have a life-threatening illness inside of you," but you're also like no one knows except for you in that space.
hmm Yeah, it was funny because after, like, I just went back to work because I was like, well, I still have, a few hours left. It's my first day. Like, I still didn't really know my boss that well. I wasn't going to be like, hey, like, I just found out I have cancer. Like, it's just like an awkward situation to navigate. So I just remember, like, I called my mom, and then I was like, all right, like, I called her in the bathroom too. I was like, oh, I'm going to bathroom break, called her. And then I was like, all right, like, she was like, do you want to leave? And I was like, no, it's my first day. Like, I don't want to leave early. Trying to make a good impression. And so I just went back to work, tried to get my mind off of it, and distract myself, which didn't really work. But yeah, I just went back to um, doing my internship and working, and then just tried to get my brain off of it.
What were kind of like the next steps after that?
Yeah, so I remember, especially for my mom, it was like finding out what stage it was, because that obviously impacts kind of the next steps. And so I was really lucky. I caught it stage one. So that means like before it spread anywhere else. Um, but that's still like you have to go and remove, the area, which is more like even if you have like a small like freckle,
Yeah.
they have to remove kind of like a large area around it, just to make sure that they get it all. And so then I remember right after that, the next day, it was like, when's the soonest I can go in to get this out of me? And so I think a week later, I went in, I had surgery, um, right across my chest. It was like 5 inches. They just basically cut it all out, which was terrifying. You're awake and
Yeah.
you're lying there. And I just remember just like being there, and I'm like, how did I get myself in this situation? Um, and then, yeah, after that, I mean, even though it wasn't, like a huge surgery, you can't really do much because the stitches don't want to be moving. So I had to take a break from my internship, take a break from my job. I kind of had to put everything on pause and focus on like recovering.
Amid those moments before you got the surgery and you were
Hmm.
still interning, what is it like to kind of be pursuing a passion or pursuing career goals? Is it an escape? What is that like knowing, hey, like they're like I don't know, like obviously fortunately you got it. You
Hmm.
caught it in a very early stage of it. But what is that mindset kind of like?
It was really frustrating because I was just starting the internship and I was so excited for it. And I was like, I'm finally, doing what I want to do,
Yeah.
working in a newsroom. Um, and then, this happened and it kind of had to put everything on pause, which was frustrating. But I think I was just lucky. Honestly, I was really lucky to have this internship because I think throughout the summer it ended up being a really good distraction for me.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't go out and I couldn't be out in the sun. I couldn't really be active and do a lot of the things that I usually enjoy. And so I really just kind of put everything into work.
Yeah.
Um, so it was a really good distraction, but also, um, it was like when I was there, no one knew that I had cancer. So it was like no one knew me for that, which is also really nice.
Was it easier in a way to stay grateful during that time, especially for your work opportunities, being like, hey, not only do I have an escape, but it's something that I'm working towards?
100%. Yeah. Um, I mean, I just felt really grateful to have that kind of safe space, which is crazy to say because it was,
Yeah.
my job at the end of the day, but it really that's what it was felt like. Um, because I was constantly, speaking with other people, hearing about their problems. So to me, it also made my problems feel a lot smaller. Um, because really, I worked a lot with their consumer helpline too, which is really cool. So like I was constantly listening to other people's problems. I wasn't focusing on my own. And also that's just another reminder that like at the end of the day, everyone's going through their own issues. Because I feel like sometimes I was so focused on like myself and like I hate that this happened to me. And then I would go to work, speak to all these people and be like, everyone has something that they're going through,
Even if it's
which
not
was a really good reminder.
even if it's not the same problems, you know that everyone has problems, which makes you feel, I guess, less alone. I mean, I've never had
Right.
cancer, never had a
Hmm.
life-threatening illness, so I don't want to speak for you, but I'd assume, well, we all have problems, and hearing that other people have problems, whether it's a good thing or not, it makes us feel like we're human.
Right, exactly. Hmm.
So, kind of talk to me about pressure now. Like how you view tense situations, especially as a reporter. Like, is doing a live shot at a botanical garden just as hard? Is that as hard now, or is it easier being like, okay, like I know what pressure's like. Like I had to deal with cancer. Like, what is that? What is that? What is your relationship with pressure now?
Yeah, I definitely think it gives you a different perspective on things. Um, what I'm scared of, obviously the first live shot I ever did was like I had, nervous energy, but then, I'm also like, I'm not nervous about it, like I'm not scared of going out and doing a live shot because, there's been greater things that like I
Yeah,
know what I actually be scared of, Um, and I also think it's made me be able to connect with a lot more people. You don't realize. I feel like cancer is one of those things you don't realize. I feel like everyone either knows someone
yeah,
or has experienced it. And so even like the people that I met, reporting, it was kind of like a way to connect with people. Um, so yeah, that was also something that I kind of got out of it. But in terms of pressure, it was definitely like I've I've been through worse, like it definitely changed my perspective on like the things that I was nervous or scared about in terms of reporting.
And just in your overall life as well, I'd assume.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. The things that I used to stress about, even in just my college career, the things that I used to get nervous for, it just changes. You're just like, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna freak out over. Well, I mean, I care about my grades, but I'm not like, is my world gonna end if I don't get the best grade on this test? Like, no, like I thought my world was ending,
Yeah.
when I found out I had cancer. So it's just different, just different perspective.